Today, I want to talk about my interpretation of the Adam and Eve story and how I think it's about us as individuals. Every single one of us is portrayed through the Adam and Eve story. Okay, a lot of people are under the misconception that Adam and Eve in Genesis is a history lesson about how everything came to be, and I can't agree with that. I can't align myself with that. I can't sit here and say I believe that to be true. With the majority of things in Genesis, I can't sit here and say that I believe that is literally something that has happened. I can't do that. What I can do is interpret it metaphorically, as like symbolically, like read between the lines and try and understand what wisdom is being portrayed in the story of Adam and Eve and Genesis. But today I just want to talk about Adam and Eve. So let's begin. Now, what is Adam and Eve? What is the story of Adam and Eve? Well, essentially, it's you have Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden, yeah, and a serpent tempted Eve to eat fruit from the tree of knowledge, and then they were cast out of Eden and put down to earth to live on earth. Okay, what does this mean to me? Okay, to me, that is a story about the birth of our ego and how we went from unity to duality or separation from unity as people. I believe that story can be seen through every single one of us, me, you, everyone, your parents, your siblings, every single person goes through the story of Adam and Eve when they give birth to their ego. As children, yeah, we live in Eden because we are one with the world around us. Yeah, we see everything through our imagination, but we see it as real. That's why when you're a child, you run around outside playing with sticks, thinking it's a sword, or playing with like animals and bugs, as though they're an extension of you. You don't judge the animal. You just see the animal as one with yourself, and you want to go and play with it and interact with it. Or other, like when you're a kid, other kids as well, like you don't judge anyone. You just live through love and unity. Yeah, everything is just one with you as a child. There's no judgments or negativity, or there's no lies, and there's no like backstabbing and scheming and all this stuff that we tend to do when we get older. Doesn't happen as a child. So what I believe is Eden represents our childhood, yeah, because in childhood we are one with the universe, yeah, we're one with the universe as a child. Everything is just an extension of us, and we love everything unconditionally, yeah. Love is the unifying force. I said this in my old video. As children, we live from the heart. We love everything, yeah. There's no negativity. It's just unconditional love as a child. So Eden represents the childhood when we're one with everything. Then what happens in the story? The snake tempts Eve when they're in Eden to eat fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Yeah? What does the snake represent? What does a snake do? A snake represents transformation because it sheds its skin. Yeah? Snakes are known. Every snake is known to shed their skin. A snake transforms itself through shedding its skin. This snake in Genesis, I believe again, represents the transformation of going from unity to duality. Our consciousness goes from being one with everything to becoming separate, right? That's what duality is. So the snake represents the transformation of that, right? What does the snake do? The snake tempts Eve to eat fruit from the tree of knowledge. I can even go as far as to say that eating represents breaking down something, right? When you eat something, you break it down and it's transformed. You're breaking down your consciousness. That's how you go from being a child to being an adult. You form a new consciousness, you form a new perception of the world. And that perception is separate because of what? Your ego. Yeah? This is all about the birth of your ego. Yeah, I'm going to put it up here. So the snake tempts Eve. Eve then eats the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And what does this do? Right? Well, let's go back. When we're children, we're unified with everything. We're not we're not conscious of all the bad things that happen in the world. We're not aware of them, right? We're just pure love, right? Everyone and everything, we, we just love it unconditionally, right? But then as we grow older, we develop a new consciousness through knowing of all these bad things, and then we start forming judgments and like a new perception on the world, because we start realizing that people can actually be evil, right? As a child, we're not aware of this. As a child, we're not aware of evil, right? But then we become older and we become aware of evil, yeah? So our like the snake and eating the fruit represents our consciousness is transformed, because in developing your ego, right, you need to go through trauma and conditioning and certain situations that develop memories that stay with you forever, and then that's how your ego is created, right? It's like a survival mechanism in this 3D dimension. The snake tempts Eve. Eve eats the fruit, and they are cast out of Eden, being unity. They're cast down to earth, which is duality. Yeah. And what happens when they're cast out of Eden? Yeah, they become aware of their naked bodies in Genesis. They become aware that they're naked. What does this represent? They become self-aware of their own consciousness. So in Eden, there is no self-awareness because everything is one, everything is unified through unconditional love. Yeah. But then when they become cast out of Eden, they become self-aware of them as a separate entity from the world around them. And this happens when we grow up. We start recognizing that we, in this 3D reality, we are separate from the world around us. So we start forming our own unique perception that's separate from everything else, right? So that is, to me, what the story of Adam and Eve symbolizes, okay? Every single person goes through the same the same story of Adam and Eve as they go from childhood to adulthood. Yeah? Everyone goes through the process of being unconditional love unified with everything in childhood to becoming separate from everything through their ego. Yeah? And this is what I want to get to. This is what I want to end this video by saying. The entire purpose of what I'm trying to put across to you guys through this YouTube channel, yeah, is to realize, or actually let's use a better word, is to remember who you are. Yeah? You need to remember who you are. You need to remember that your ego is an illusion. Your ego is not who you are. Your ego's made up, right? Your ego's made up in knowing of evil and all the negativity in this world. It's like a coping mechanism, right? But you need to remember that you're not the ego. You need to remember that you come from unconditional love. You come from God. You are a fractal of God, right? You're an extension of God, yeah? You need to remember that this ego that you've cultivated in your mind is not who you are. Simply put, that's not who you are. You are God. Yeah? You are source. And you need to remember that. And instead of feeling like you need to do all these external things to attain what it is that you desire in this life, yeah, you need to remember that you are already everything you desire. It's all about remembering. It's not about achieving through different tasks and trials and tribulations. It's about remembering that you are God. Yeah, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Yeah, be still and know that you are God, as the Bible said. So remember who you are. Remember that you come from unity. You come from unconditional love. You come from a place that is one with everything. That's why I say you don't need to do anything to achieve the life you want. You just need to remember that you are already the creator and you are already everything you want to be. You just need to remember it and you need to believe it. With every cell in your body, you need to believe it because that's the true nature of who you are.